Yeah, I guess I'll just try and fix that. Well, there is the option.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what does get banned out from FNATIC. I'd say Zeus is still solid, even if with that clock to counteract it. I don't think you want. New esports for their part, their bans are a bit more straightforward. The Beastmaster, to ensure their Faceless Void has a solid time. You worry about maybe Avenge coming out. I think that's another hero. The Void doesn't, it kind of struggles to maximize the Chrono with if there's a Avenge in the pool. So that might be what New esports takes out next, although there's not really a room for Avenge on FNATIC's draft, so maybe they just let it slide through. Still, FNATIC, they take out the Magnus, so it looks like they're expecting a wombo combo playstyle from New. We've seen the Magnus Faceless Void a couple of times. It has been rather effective. You are beholden to sort of cooldowns with that kind of combo, but you know, natural empower is always nice to have, so you can't fault FNATIC for ban out. You see New esports, they take out the Sven. Sven IO is great. You don't have that option. Or not, they're gonna go all in on that. Again, it's still kind of open. They could still go with the gyro if they wanted to, but we've seen gyrocopter into Void, and it hasn't really ended up well. The IO gyro up against Faceless Void. Options are limited.
Comes a tiny now for New esports, so great initiation, great team fight. Of course, we know you can toss back into the Chrono, which is always going to be nice and handy. The Tiny overall has been very, very popular as of late. Especially going into that IO now, right? Because you can just burst the Wisp down with Avalanche Toss. It's not really too difficult, and even if you can't burst her down, you can just toss her away and break the tether. There's the Venomancer though from FNATIC now. I don't know how to feel about it, John.
I get the mindset of it. You're laning against a Faceless Void. It's harder for him to maximize his time walk up against a Venomancer.
10 seconds remaining.
I don't know how I feel about it fully. I don't think it's bad.
5 seconds
It was an issue in game 1. It's just it should have a better time here in terms of laning against a Faceless Void. We'll see how much Ice brings out. Really depends on what else they pick up, because the Veno can only do so much. So there's a lot of pressure now on your pause 1 to play around with the IO, to set up, to follow up on your Venomancer's movements in, to get the global strat running. That does mean FNATIC has to play a bit faster. You mentioned the counter actions of New esports with a Tiny, tossing back to the Void, breaking the tether. They've got some answers to that. It'll be something that shows up here from FNATIC with the IO to make it work out. New esports, their draft is really open. You've got the Void, you've got Tiny AA, they all combine in one way or another. They have room for their off lane to kind of interact with that, and a lot of room for their mid lane to play into that. Like, I wouldn't fault them for going back to Bloodseeker, honestly. It just works out well with that. They go with Nature's Prophet instead. But they are finding a way to really keep that same movement up. They've got a way of following the IO around, they've got a way of split pushing with the NP, and a way of counteracting the Venomancer push. I love the response from New esports. It's very straightforward, but it does work out in their draft.
We haven't seen too much profit as of late, but I do agree it just kind of fits in with the draft of New esports right now. And FNATIC, they're going to go back to a Raven special. They're going to bring out the Terrorblade now, so a hero that doesn't really mind the Faceless Void too much. Now, mind you, if you are caught in that Chrono, it is going to hurt, especially with that time lock damage. It does count as magic. So he's not going to care for your armor on that Terrorblade. But as long as he's not caught in the Chrono, or alternatively, as long as AU's outside of the Chrono to relocate him out, Raven should be just fine.
Oh yeah, it should on paper kind of work out that way. It's going to be interesting to see how far FNATIC can push that. It's a Raven special, like you mentioned. It's just, there are some key timings with the Terrorblade. Metamorphosis is your limiting factor. Now you've got to play with Metamorphosis and Relocate if you're wanting to play aggressive here. It's not the most natural IO combo, although it does work out because of Overcharge. A lot more attack speed, so they can melt towers. They can actually do tons of damage from FNATIC's end. This is still a TB into an AA as well. You have to consider that fact. There's a lot going against it, but it does have a lot working for it as well. So it's a double-sided sword for FNATIC. A lot is resting on that mid pickup. FNATIC, they took out the Zeus. too much magic damage to deal with, keeping themselves safe. Quap's gone as well.
Fanatics turn to pick.
Sports pick out the Pango, which is some way of keeping the Void in check with the disarms.
Radiant
They've got a
team
lot of room though. A lot of Spirit Brothers still in play.
They bring out the Ember. It's an interesting pick, right? Like, Moon obviously plays a very, very good Ember. We've seen it before. He does set a very nice tempo. This hero has felt a little bit lackluster as of late. I'm not gonna lie, John. It's maybe received a too few many nerfs now, and it's not really what it used to be. It's going to be very important for FNATIC to be able to set a tempo so Raven can just farm all game and get to that point where he is just a powerhouse. If you can't do that, they might just fall apart again. New esports now, seeing that Ember Spirit, just need to ensure that they can win that mid lane. If you wanted to run the Prophet mid, you could. He'd probably have a great old time. Alternatively though, if you threw him into the off lane, you still have another pick for New esports to make. Really, again, just something that dominates the Ember mid.
Have a lot of options. Any of the Spirit Brothers remaining for mid are great. Void Spirit and Storm are great here. You don't have the best control from FNATIC. I mean, what stuns do they actually have? They have Clockwork, Battery Assault, and that is it. Cogs to break a TP, but anything slippery like that can just dance around here. Sports can just make that work. So I'd love to see the Storm. I'd love to see the Void Spirit. I think they lane decently against the Ember. Well, you might have a timing greed issue with an NP core and a Faceless Void plus one of those Spirit Brothers, but I think you can kind of bounce around it.
Choose your hero.
How dare you, Jonathan? I was about to bring up, you said Spirit Brothers and you never brought up the Earth Spirit. I was very... Thank you to New East. Oh, John, how wrong he was for ignoring this beautiful hero. There it is, John. It'll be the Earth Spirit coming out for DDZ. That'll be your core mid-Earth Spirit, John. One of my personal favorites. Yeah. It should be a very fun matchup now. Very explosive here from New esports. As with the core Earth Spirit, you generally don't like having a lot of downtime. But I do love the pickup.
I mean, I agree. It looks beautiful here. It ties well with the damage timings you've got. The power curves New esports has are fantastic.
10 seconds remaining.
I did say a Spirit Brother for mid, Mike. You know, I never mentioned Earth Spirit, but I left it open. I covered my bases and did bring it out.
No, you didn't. You said Storm.
I said
Void
Spirit Brothers. Yeah, I didn't. I didn't say the Earth Spirit. Yeah. I didn't say the Earth Spirit. You caught me in that, but I left it open there. Still. You know, technicalities aside, Earth Spirit for DDZ, down mid. So it's an interesting proposition. It's not quite as unstoppable as Storm or a Void when you're jumping in and out, but it gives them that fast gameplay. You've got the NP to jump in to back you up. New esports has to play this one fast. Don't want to stall out mid-game spike where FNATIC theoretically is better, and then it evens out as the Void Chronosphere starts to become the game-setting skill. You know, down late game, Chrono is the spell to watch out for, but mid-game, there's a point where the Terrorblade can get scary, so there's some really interesting power spikes that play against these two teams. I just want to see what FNATIC does different. Still got the Ice Veno, gonna have to play out of his mind that hero, pressure Yamate a lot more. AO on the IO, which is gonna be really hard to say back-to-back, has to ensure that Raven lives and has to maximize those early relocate ganks.
It's a matter of whether you can, though, because I mean, New esports with their draft, I believe, can just fight so much earlier. I mean, you could make the argument that FNATIC should have little issue fighting back, but I don't know. Wait and see how this all pans out. Game number 2 between these two. Of course, New esports would love to get their debut going throughout the tournament with the 2-0 up against FNATIC. Are certainly on track to do so. And FNATIC, of course, John, don't want to just leave with a 2-0 loss. They at least want to get a draw out of this one. Go back to the drawing board after that, figure out what went wrong in game 1. To see if they can control this Radiant side now. Especially DDZ on this Earth Spirit, because once these Earth Spirits get started in this mid lane, it is very hard to slow them down.
Oh yeah. It's going to be interesting to see what timings he hit. hits. I haven't had the pleasure of seeing Earth Spirit up against Ember, or at least if we have, I can't remember it anymore. So it could be interesting to see what he brings out. Moon, I'd say, should have a better time though overall compared to game 1. He should have a bit of a smoother start. Maybe down to, can your supports come out to help you secure your lane fully? You already see Ayo and DJ running around with the Tether on, trying to find something in. This is one way he can get started. Ayo plus clock, you get 372 move speed when the Tether is up, so you can run anyone down with battery assault. That's an easy first blood if they can find a target.
Ayo gonna run into Yamate, will take a bit of a hit, takes another one. Does manage to take the banner away from Yamate at least, but it is still going to be a 2 for 2. Still DJ now going to come in and force the time walk to be leveled up. Yamate will cop a bit more harass out from DJ, but will be fine to just leave the building. Of course, AU will make his way up top to make sure Raven has a good landing stage on that TB. So just your standard dual lanes being run here from both sides. Well, it looks like it probably will be a relatively slow start for the first 5 to 10 minutes, as most of these heroes on the map do need levels.
Yeah, it's going to be a while. I mean, you can see, of course, Raven on the TV commits the first meta to get some last hits, get some farm on. Barry just slowing that down a bit. Once this mid is down, if you get level 2s at a good point for the NP and Tiny, you're going to have to be careful. You see an early pause. Look at Raven's HP. It's just down to half.
Yeah, 318 HP left on Raven. Great hero, John. So this Terrorblade. FNATIC, they do have a DC on Raven, so we'll just have to wait that one out. And of course, you did mention it was lunchtime for SEA right now, John. So FNATIC can quickly get a bite to eat. No, never mind. Raven does not want anyone eating any food. Back to playing.
Yeah, no messing around. He's gonna have to rely on the regen AU brings out here. They do have that early headdress, as you tell on the IOs, so this should be too big of an issue. But again, those early level 2 timings to level 3 timings for this duo from new esports is the key. Some ways of bursting down with Barry. Got to be really cautious on the TB. You don't have the greatest HP pool. On mid, you've got that interesting matchup. It's the Earth Spirit up against the Ember. It does look like a bit of a better start for Moon. Both heroes at level 2, 6 to 1 on last hits. Pre-O for DDZ. So not the smoothest starts in terms of farm. Make that work with, you know, some of the skill usages. Farm up for the most. Supports are going to be the key for that. And we already talked about the top supports down bot. You've got Mosin pressuring Ice once more. So our Venomancer with a clockwork with DJ. And up against the Ancient Apparition and Faceless Void. Now, there are ways to make this work. You get the cogs off on particularly the AA. You can melt them with the damage you've got here. It's just closing that gap is very difficult.
I've got to say, I love the way Mosin plays the lane for Yamate, right? Like, he really never allows Ice to get close, to get any decent harassment in. And it's very important when you're going up against the Venomancer in any laning stages. The support needs to be aggressive before the Veno can be. And Mosin has been doing a very, very good job of it. Now Gale will fly out, but the Cold Feet is going to be out onto Ice, and he just can't commit to trying to chase down Yamate.
Yeah, and because of that, Yamate is not forced to pop the Time Walk. We talked about the Veno being good in that sense, because the DOT makes it tricky to commit. Yamate's not having an issue, and they get to jump onto DJ immediately. Don't get any lucky bash, but it's been a struggle splitting the EXP. Like the Clockwork and Veno, they need a lot of EXP, both of these heroes, to get started, and they're just sharing a lane. They're just soaking off of each other. It's gonna snowball hard.
I mean, you've got the choice of going mid here for DJ, just trying to roam around and trying to take down the Earth Spirit mid with Moon. But the problem is with the Clockwork is you can't really hold DDZ down because he's going to be able to kick you away and just roll away back towards his tier 1 tower. So he's really got no options but to stay in that bottom lane right now, which is, like you just mentioned, a bit detrimental because Ice needs the levels. So he's trying to stay out of XP range now, DJ, but it's not really helping him. Ice is just still copping way too much harassment out from Mosin.
Courier has been killed.
Yeah, it's a difficult time. This is when FNATIC's draft is its weakest. Laning phase just isn't that amazing, and you can see Yamate's not scared to commit the early time walks, get some harassment off, looking for the lucky bashes. It doesn't fly out, but that spacing right now down bot isn't the best for Fnatic. The great thing is Yamate's farm is not so good. It's at 13-2 behind Raven up top, and Ice is finding more creeps. You do have that to play with. Whether or not that stays, though, as this lane progresses is a different story.
Speaking of behind, pretty much all of new esports are behind in this laning phase in terms of CS, John. DDZ falling 10 CS behind Moon right now on the Ember. We'll get lucky with the power rune up top, and they are just going to give that away to Barry. Even at that top lane, you're not really having the greatest time right now for Candyloon, who is behind Raven, just by one last hit. And sadly for new esports, that's their best lane right now, is this Nature's Prophet lane. Barry going to come in with an avalanche toss. AU going to be the first blood. Candyloon able to take it on the Prophet. And I was just saying he was slightly behind Raven, but with that added gold, I highly doubt he is any longer.
And that's what you want to see. It's that level timing. Sports, they had level 2 in Barry there. He hits level 3 now. They've got burst damage. That is not something IO and the Terrorblade deal with well. That early high burst you can expect from this duo.
Mosen, bot lane, does get caught out there by DJ, and Ice did have the follow-up damage. So, nice little even trade on those position 5s. Of course, new esports able to at least get the first blood gold for themselves.
Dire's middle tower.
And they'll go back for the 5-minute bounty runes, which do end up being a 2-for-2 trade. There is one still left on the Radiant side of things. Top lane, they could go for a bit of a play here, new esports, but DDZ not really willing to leave the lane yet. He is only level 5. Looks like he's just going to return mid and try to get his own level 6 now up against Moon, who did just hit level 6 on the Ember.
Yeah, they've got some beautiful vision here as well from Fnatic's end to watch rotations. Barry does intercept AU. Not going to have any of that movement out to camp 6-minute runes, which does make it difficult for both sides. Those runes are very important for the Ember and the Earth Spirit.
Mosen again, bot lane, going to end up dying on the AA, and looks like Ice and DJ now able to comfortably pick off this Ancient Apparition with the clockwork, though top lane, Barry able to kill off Raven. DDZ joining in on the top lane, doesn't even bother committing the Magnetize. He didn't need it.
That's a bigger kill going the way of new esports. Like, they managed to trade away a support for a core. A bit surprised to see Yamate ditch the Venu lane early. I guess he just realized it would be a hard lane to keep up. More action.
He tried to get the tether off to the creep wave, but the avalanche was going from Barry, so he just cancelled the tether
Dire's
immediately.
top tower is under attack.
I guess he had no other option, but it's going to be a bit hard here for AU on that IO, and well, with that now, of course, they're going to commit towards that tier 1 top tower. And with Candyloon there, with the Nature's Treants, it's not going to be a very hard one to take.
Dire's top tower is
No,
under
it's
attack.
going to be a relatively quick one. You can see Fnatic clump up bot, trying to get that same action done with Ice. To counter push, they're going to try to trade. You do see new esports take that
Radiant's
first.
bottom tower
And
is
you're not
under
going to have that
attack.
situation where Fnatic TPs in for defense. There's no defense to be had. Going to go for the straight trade. They're still waiting as well. Around Moons down here for the party. It's only Mazen they can really catch out here.
This is a very dangerous predicament here for new esports. They are TPing more heroes in. They want to try and take this team fight. DDZ now going to show himself TPing. They'll go after Moon. They have the silence. They do catch out Moon, but he has the tether there from AU. Does get the sleight of fist off and just walks away. Now DJ with the battery assault onto Mosen. Barry also burning to the flame guard of Moon.
Dire's middle
And
tower
perhaps
is under
new
attack.
esports not expecting pretty much the whole side of Fnatic to be down at that bot lane. They do get punished for this rotation.
That's really good punishment from Fnatic. They take the tower on top of it. Find 2 supports for their trouble. That is one way to kind of bounce back here. Moon definitely needing those kills. And that does help them have a little bit more. Did need to counteract that slower start. You can see Ice in a very different game, although DDZ.
Yeah, Magnetize going to be committed. They'll go for the TP play. DDZ will not have the roll-up. It is still only a level 1 roll, so you can opt to just TP out as soon as he commits it. And he will not be up in time to get a secondary one off to cancel the TP.
It's a bit of a shame, but that's one of the issues here for new esports draft as well. Their control is a bit mixed. They have been sitting on certain spells for a while, although Moon finds Mosen.
He does. Mosin going to go down very easily, and Moon is really starting to snowball out of control here on this Ember Spirit. Looking to start setting up into that mid lane a little bit, but Barry is going to be there to defend. But this is problematic. If you're new esports now, you do not want to allow Moon to have a good game on this Ember Spirit.
No, definitely not. He's off a fantastic start. DDZ for his part on the Earth Spirit. You need to snowball hard in that hero. And he's not quite up there. He's definitely lagging in terms of impact as well. The rotations haven't really paid off. He needs that earn into Spirit Vessel ASAP. Once you have that, you kind of correct some issues here. You also need your supports at 6, particularly Mosin. You need the Ice Blast in this game. That's the entire point of this AA, so they need to find some way to get the Ancient Apparition up to par. One good thing here for new esports is that Yamate has been relatively uncontested. His farm is kind of lacking for that, but he hasn't really been scouted out. They've been sitting on that chrono for a while, though. You have to wonder, when do you want to commit that big team fight spell?
DDZ, bot lane, is currently being watched by DJ. DJ was pinging out, asking for a rotation. Looks like Moon is going to oblige. They might just get started over this 10-minute bounty rune.
Radiant.
Back, the rest of FNATIC are slowly moving their way in. Raven, he has the meta up. That's perfect timing for him to fight, and Moon does start off with the chains onto Barry, but they want DDZ. Remnants forward, but the roll was already there from DDZ. Still Moon gonna try for the chase. Avalanche gonna slow things down, and FNATIC, they will not be able to keep up. So they'll go back for the bounty runes. The new esports gonna be thanking their lucky stars they did not lose that mid ES again.
Yeah, I mean, neither side dies out. I think you're still going to be happy if you're FNATIC. You're forcing these movements out. New esports aren't really farming as efficiently. They've caught up a bit on Candy. A bit better, although no, they're not taking control of their jungle. They're not finding check spot.
Easy, good roll in. The Ice Blast going to connect on both of them, and Ice. He'll melt, and so will AU. And that's kind of the thing we talked about in the drafting phase. You first pick IO, you're going to get Ancient Apparition like that. Mosin with the perfect positioning with that Ice Blast.
Yeah, and the perfect timing on that level as well. We're talking about them needing the 6 on the AA. Comes out, it plays in a big way. They just keep finding these little wins. It's even on the map, 5-5, less than 1k lead for FNATIC. But you've got this Mask of Madness now in Yamate. You've given face for the Void to find that farming tool.
Gets a hook on. You can see Candaloon, so he'll just settle for Mosin. Still Ice Blast going to connect. Mosin still alive. In fact, Moon going to dive in after Candaloon, but they can't secure one kill here. Mosin now going to get tethered on by AU, but Assault is out, and Yamate looking for a chrono, and he does get it. Onto 2 heroes. Mosin is already down, but it may not matter. AU getting low does also die to DDZ, and Moon, he's in massive trouble. He'll get a remnant out. He'll be out of there, but Raven has been left behind. He gets the Sunder, but it may not matter. Yamate is dealing way too much damage, and DDZ going back after Moon, but he kicks him away. That's not what he wanted. But Moon is still being chased. Ice. All's gonna die to Yamate. Meanwhile, Barry still chasing the Ember Spirit. Won't be able to get him. But it's a great team fight out for new esports.
Radiant's middle tower.
Oh man, they just play it perfectly. Like, it looked bad at the start. They got the jump in. But new esports, the first chrono from Yamate, that was 12 minutes in. First chrono pays off in a massive way to build up for themselves, and what looked like a slower start, it's starting to ramp up, Mike. 9-6 now, 1k lead for new esports. You have Candaloon way above everyone else in terms of farm. He's got an Orchid up. He's got ways of controlling these heroes from FNATIC, and they've got to be careful here.
Hookshot's going to be out onto Mosin, but he has help around. DDZ going to get the Boulder Smash and Silence, but they aren't going to commit to this team fight. That'll mean the mid-tier 1 tower will go down to Raven. So even with that bad team fight that just occurred for FNATIC, with the meta up, they feel confident to secure that mid-tier 1, and now with the rest of the meta, they want to try and go for a kill attempt. The only person they are seeing is Barry on the Tiny. He is already within safety of his tier 2 tower, so it looks like they will just commit to farming up.
And that's one of the downsides here for new esports draft. They play around chrono on their end. If you see Moon making a move here, but Candy's around.
Be careful, Raven. As AU, they're going to roll in. Ice Blast to fly through. Raven, he's falling low, and the Ice Blast will connect onto both of them. AU also going to go down. As I said, John, you can't underestimate the magic damage that new esports has right now. It's a power spike for them at the moment.
Oh, you definitely can't. They've got this blinking tiny now. They lose 3 heroes in 2 different lanes. Like, Moon was the aggressor up top. He was the one jumping Yamate. He forgot that the NP was around and that the Orchid was up. You just have nothing to stop that. No Yules on Moon. Means he has to be super careful about the targets he jumps. And new esports, 2k up. They're gonna have Chrono in 10 seconds. They can force a team fight if they wanted to. FNATIC, I mean, you're still finding fantastic farm and Raven. Number 2 in net worth.
Staring down Moon, John. He had that Chrono in a second. He's not going to go for anything. He'll go back to farming. So, John, I would like to point out, surprisingly enough, DDZ does opt for the plus 50 damage at level 10. Other than the rolling boulder distance, which is usually what you would pick up. Now, as the core Earth Spirit, it makes sense to go for the plus 50, especially considering he did go for the Treads build. So you have that added attack speed and stats. But I wonder what he builds after the Spirit Vessel to really go with that added damage. Because generally speaking, you might want to go into a Veil straight after, considering you're up against Terrorblade. But it doesn't seem like he's going to go for the Veil build.
It's pretty open in how you itemize around this. I think it really depends on how the game develops. They're gonna, I think they're gonna hold out for a bit more. Although I'd say Size TP'd in.
Yeah, he TP'd in and got an avalanche straight away. DDZ did miss the roll and a relocate out.
Dire's middle
well, at least they wasted the relocate. So you got something out of that if you knew esports, and now with that gone, you might just commit to this tier 1 mid tower.
Should be an easy committal. They've still got the Chrono as mentioned. They're looking for an opportunity to use that. Yamate does spot Moon, but doesn't opt for that play. It's a bit slippery.
DDZ has an arcane rune, John.
Ooh,
every Earth Spirit's dream to have this rune up. That roll is now on a 2.8 second cooldown, which is, in my opinion, very balanced, by the way.
Yeah,
no bias here from me.
Absolutely balanced. Of course, you've got the foresight from FNATIC to just pull back. They're just playing around, farming with Raven. They're not really forcing anything aggressive. That's mainly been down to Ice and Moon, which they've done a pretty decent job. Still waiting for 4 staff on Ice. Once that's up, they've got a few more options to jump in, a few more options to bail themselves out as well. New esports, for their part, seem pretty content and kind of just split farming as well. They've got the Spirit Vessel up though on DDZ, perhaps looking to make use of that. They are pinging out the top lane for a bit of a shove-in.
Dire's top tower.
I think he can just afford to. Even with the pipe up now on Candy Loon, he can join them up at top, and he will. The TP going to come in from Moon, but they have the Orchid, and Candy is waiting.
Radiant's
now will show himself, and Moon should be just fine to make an exit here. Unless Barry gets the Blink Avalanche toss off. And he's thinking about it, but Moon is staying well and truly back.
Radiant's
just trying to buy time so his own team can push in the bottom tier 2 tower.
Is under attack.
Ice Blast is going to fly down to the bot lane. Raven is going to fly through him. So it does connect. He does take the damage, but instead of defending that tier 2, they are going after a Roshan play now, new esports. But it seems as though Moon is aware of this and is making his way down with a haste rune. In fact, no, they're defending pot lane. Yamate Chrono is committed. They catch up Raven, and with that, they're going to burst him down, go after AU, and that IO's gone. A great bait play out of new esports.
Oh man, what was that? Like, using the rocket flare against your enemy. They do catch out Mosin again though.
Nice block.
For that.
He is out in time, and Barry can clean up. It's a pulse 3 for a pulse 5 trade, and look at DDZ. Gets a boulder smash off into the silence, into the Spirit Vessel, and DJ has no chance of survival. And it's a 4-for-1 trade and a Roshan on top of it.
I love it. Like new esports, the movements are perfect. They get spotted by the flare, they go for the TP defense after the flare fades to bait them into thinking they're still in Roche. They come in, and then they walk their way back top through the pit. Like, this is just perfect cyclical play from new esports. The timing is on point. The 16 to 8. It's still looking better than game 1. It's a 3k lead for new esports. They have got to watch out. Because the moment this team gets momentum, they run away with it, new esports.
They are really, really playing well. You don't see that very often either. The the Roshan into a quick defense team fight. But it really was just a really nice play here. With that, another 4K net worth lead. FNATIC looking to just try and defend this mid-tier 1 again. And of course, we saw in game 1, that was really the downfall for FNATIC. Once they lost that mid-tier 1 tower, their whole map was suddenly not really theirs anymore and was owned by a new esport. So we'll see if they can manage to take that one down. I mean, we're almost 19 minutes into the game without it going down. But once it is gone, Raven is going to be missing a lot of farming space.
Yeah, it gets trickier to split that farm with an Ember and a Terrorblade and a Venomancer. I think one of these heroes have to give. We saw what happens when the Venomancer falls behind. You don't want to see what happens when the TV and Ember.
Dire structures are
Gonna be tricky. You see, new esports, they're committing up top again. They forced the Fortify out. FNATIC just trying to take over that bot jungle. They might be able to catch out Barry for their troubles, but they're gonna lose a tier 2 if they commit that hard.
There's that tier 2 top gone. Barry gonna chill out and wait for someone to dive in after this tier 2 bot tower. They do have Chrono up in 10 seconds, so this is actually perfectly timed by new esports. If that push attempt does come out, with an Aegis of course on Yamate, so he's not worried about his own life. They are going to slowly try here. Raven does show himself for a second.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
In fact, never mind, Gale is there out onto Barry. They aren't going to commit all the way though. Ice just going to back off, back towards his team.
Is under attack.
And new esports seem like they're not going to go for this defense attempt, but rather just let FNATIC take it.
Radiant's bottom tower.
Yeah, in the end, I suppose you could consider that a tier 2 for tier 2 trade. Does work out rather evenly. You do see some items flying out though. Kendloon does have his Maelstrom, so that's additional magic damage flying out. Even more split push potential from our NP. Careful as they do finally make moves on mid, and FNATIC, they can't allow this one to fall. They sent Ice to stave that off.
It's not just the Maelstrom, by the way, John. Yamate has the MKB coming out. With the Mask of Madness, that is going to be a lot of damage and a lot of attack speed. And again, he does have the Aegis Chrono, so new esports are definitely looking for a big team fight. I don't think FNATIC have really what it takes right now to try and fight it out, unless they can keep Raven safe. I suppose Moon does have a double damage bottled up, so you do have a lot of added damage on this Ember. They might try for the defense, but they've got to be very wary about those new items. See what happens here is we do unpause. New esports are actually the ones to retreat.
Yeah, I can't fault them for that. They're just playing it safe. They know the caliber of caliber of team that FNATIC is. There's a BKB now on Raven as well. So there's some moments here for FNATIC to reveal some of these pickups against it, but there's a smoke now from new esports.
Question is who they're going to find. Moon, he'd be a great target, and can they get the Chrono? He does go for the Slight. Silence will not hit in time. Moon will just make his way out of there. Barry, still in that smoke. We'll try to use Yamate as bait for a nice avalanche toss start. AU going to be very cautious about getting picked off here on the IO, as they do need him alive, and FNATIC do commit TPs, but Yamate again has that Chrono. There's the avalanche onto Ice. No Chrono yet, he'll hold out. The relocate already out from AU again. Now the hook shot in from DJ. Moon also there, but the Chrono not going to catch the Ember. They'll have to settle for the clockwork. Ice Blast not going to connect either, but they have made the jump back onto Ice. There's two gone for FNATIC. Now Raven won't be able to turn around and fight. He has to back off. They do actually eventually end up killing off Barry thanks to the DPS of the Venomancer, but it is still a 2-for-1.
Yeah, I'd say FNATIC should be happy with that, although Yamate?
Getting chained up, dude. Gotta be careful. The batches, oh my goodness. Oh, you gotta be a bit wary, even without the Chrono. He still has the Aegis.
Oh man. Yeah, that's a brave movement out, but still, FNATIC, I don't think they're too upset about that. Managed to force the Chrono out without losing their big heroes. You'll take that. Find a better trade? but they're in a spot where they don't have to worry about Chrono for at least 2 minutes.
Oh, Raven.
Oh.
He's alone. Yamate could not get a lucky bash off, but look at the TPs coming in now. They are a bit too late. Looks like new esports, they know exactly where they are, so they'll go for a smoke.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Again, using Yamate as that frontliner, that kind of bait on the Void. He's running very deep into that tier 1, but Avalanche toss Barry has found out Raven with the Ice Blast to fly in. He did get the Sunder off in time, but it may not matter, or perhaps it will. He did pop his BKB as well. Meanwhile, Yamate kills off AU in the backlines. DJ getting rolled back on. Yamate just chasing down this clockwork, and it looks like DJ is circling dead. In fact, Raven still being chased down here by DDZ. There'll be a buyback from DJ, but it will not matter. Raven already dead. And they're going for even more now. Ice showing his face will also die. It's just not great news for FNATIC.
Oh man, it's bad news all the way down. That was the BKB usage of Raven, his first charge not working out the way they want. This is all without Chrono. And Yamate is just nearly unstoppable now. He has no defensive items, Mike.
Oh, AU, he just bought back. He just bought back on the IO.
Oh,
can he tether out in time? He can, but Yamate does have the time walk in a second. He will commit it. He will get the die back. And, well, mid lane, they're still going. DDZ getting attacked by Moon, but really taking no damage.
It's gonna be difficult for FNATIC. Like, the tools they just picked up aren't paying off. I love the build up here from DDZ. We were talking about what he might want to go for. He's got his Shiva's card flying in. So all that minus HP regen they've been playing around with, it's stacking up. The IO effect, even with Tether, if these items come into play, it's nothing. They don't have sustain on FNATIC's end, and that just means the IO is kind of a dead pickup.
It is a very, very rough time, and there's that Shiva's Guard you talked about on DDZ. Gonna make things a lot harder now.
Oh no.
Radiant's middle
Oh. Yeah, that's a yikes. Yamate commits the Chrono for an easy mid-ember kill, and it's well worth it for his cause. That's going to actually allow him to pretty much be at the stage where he can buy out the BKB, and he does.
And the opportunities you had to catch Yamate now shrink. Oh my god.
Yeah, Ice getting caught out now by Candaloon and DDZ. They're just not safe, John. It literally happens straight after that mid-tier 1 goes down. They just start losing the whole map to this new esports side.
It's not holding up. Like, that timing's perfect. They're just not finding the openings. You look at how big Candaloon is. I didn't even realize. He's got his Mjolnir up on top of everything else. And a BKB now as well.
DDZ, oh, nice avalanche toss in from Barry. Raven being slowed up. DDZ gets the silence, but won't continue as the Glimmer Cape was there. That'll be your tier 2 mid tower going down. No, they'll commit the glyph. Yamate could afford to fight. He does have a 10-second BKB charge. He just doesn't have Chrono. But it looks like he wants to save that 10-second charge for the time where he does have Chrono, and that's fair enough. Does break the smoke of DJ as well. Yamate. Oops. You see how confident he is right now, John. He just time walks straight into him. He does not feel afraid that they have the burst damage to take him out.
You can just see how defensive Moon has to play. He remnants out, he has to Yules off the time dilation. It's not what you want to be doing. So far behind, playing so far behind, not setting the tempo as well. You can see it's just forcing FNATIC to per game, and there's still opportunities there for Raven to outfarm. Like, we've seen Terrorblades play from behind really well if they find those right opportunities, and they can make that happen. And well, you look at that, there's a repair kit here for FNATIC. I wonder why. I wonder why, Mike.
Well, they need it, John. They're gonna need it. Looks like, just based on how this game is going right now. New esports are waiting for the next Roshan, but that is going to be a bit of time still. Bot lane, there is a bit of a team fight breaking out. DDZ able to kill off DJ, and Yamate is still chasing down Ice. Trying to time walk. There's the TP in from Candaloon, and now the roll in from DDZ, and Ice once again just can't survive on that Venomancer. Another 2 kills for New esports.
Fnatic,
Dire's
they're
middle
just not
tower
getting
is under
the
attack.
effect they want with the Venom. Like, right? Like, we talk about the Venom being so potent, it's not showing up the past 2 games. There's only so much Ice can do with it. And it's not trying to go true back.
Just use the Mask of Madness, Yamate.
No. Doesn't want to press the buttons, Mike. It doesn't need to, see? Takes out that mid tier 2. And Fnatic, and they're just trying to farm across the map. They're waiting for Raven to get scary. I don't know if that's enough. Like, again, they can play from behind with the Terrorblade, but it's not a good proposition. That's not exactly what you picked the Terrorblade for. You want to be dominant. So there's some timing issues here for Fnatic. They're going to have to sort it out. As new esports, Roshan's up. They can easily go for that next Rosh, perfectly timed.
That they will. Yamate just pops the MOM and gets himself started. Of course, Fnatic should be well aware that they might be going for this, but they're trying to go mid, or rather bot instead. A nice hook shot out. Candy does get hooked up. He can't TP out here with that BKB, and he is going to accept the fact that he is just dead. And that is a huge kill out for Fnatic.
Oh, that's Candy's first death of the game. So a great pick off. It does come at the cost of Rosh. This is him flying really fast for new esports. Aegis and Cheese on the deck. Player to spot, a bit too late, as you know the objective's gone. So they trade a kill for that. I think new esports are still in a good spot. Up.
Can't blame him. Aegis Chrono is off, and that 10-second BKB charge is still there for Yamate. Ice does not want him to show himself down bot at the moment. He's just throwing Venom wards out.
Oh,
Moon. Oh no, Moon!
No.
Chrono is actually gonna connect and he's gone. He was just stuck in the air. I was wondering where he was.
Oh no. He remnanted right in front of Barry. Just really unfortunate. They find the kill they'd want to get rid of Chrono anyway. And new esports. I mean, look at this. They just wait for the runes. This is what I love. They play around these map timers so well. They never give up on bounty runes. They always time Rosh perfectly. It is just really surgical for new esports.
It is. That net worth just continuing to climb. Of course, did go down a little bit when they did kill off that Nature's Prophet, but it just went back up after that Moon death. Dota Plus right now, John, already sitting at 95% win chance for new esports.
Radiant's courier has been
I would
killed.
probably agree with that, if I'm completely honest, especially considering Yamate is about to have a full eye of Skadi up on that Void. That's going to be very problematic when you count the Vessel and the Shiver's Guard on DDZ. It's just, Sunder's going to do nothing. Neither is the IO is not going to be able to heal at all. This is all along with an Ancient Apparition with Ice Blast.
Radiant's courier
Yeah.
has been killed.
It's too much. It's too much to play up against new esports. It might be a bit overkill, but it's paying off. So if it works, you can't really slam it, and you can see new esports smoke up again. They're always the aggressors. Fnatic, how many times have we seen them smoke? Not as much.
Nice. They know he's around there somewhere. Now showing himself mid lane. DDZ going to go for the immediate roll in. Does connect with the boulder smash, and now the follow-up roll. Just roll straight back out, and Ice committing the buyback. They want to try and fight this out, but the Ice Blast again going to connect on two. And now Yamate just comes in, and look at Raven getting bashed up. He'll be relocated out with the BKB. Oh no, they're going to waste the whole BKB duration, and now Yamate will just go after Moon. There's your Sunder out, but Raven is surrounded once again. There's another tether out from AU. Raven still safe, but Yamate, he does not care. He should have Chrono in about 25 seconds, in fact. Not even needing it for this team fight. They'll get the Terrorblade. Now after DJ on the clockwork, they will find a secondary, or rather a fourth pickup in AU. What would it mean without a team fight or a team wipe? They get everything. They get absolutely everything. That was without a Chrono, John.
And
He still has the Aegis.
he's diving in, Yamate. He's going all the way. Yeah, he buys out a Deso in the enemy base, as you want to do.
Middle tower
Need that, and Fnatic 35 to 14, 25k lead, man. I don't know how to bounce back. If there's a way to call it.
Dire's middle tower is under
Wow,
attack.
Boy.
what a showing from new esports. very, very impressive here from this Radiant side. And again, John, I said this in game 1, that if you asked anybody who the underdogs would be up against FNATIC in this first series of the day, you'd have to say that New Esports were heavy underdogs.
Oh, 100%.